Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and this is going to be a Friday Reads video. I mentioned at the beginning of the month that I was going to try to do a Friday Reads video every Friday in May so that I could just update you on all of the books that I've been reading in the previous week. And so that's what I'm here to do. Instead of a mid-month wrap-up, I'm just going to hope that maybe you saw the first week's wrap-up, and in this video I'm going to just tell you about what I've read this past week. Now, I did not have quite the large numbers that I had the first week because during that first week I listened to several really short audiobooks for the Light and Dark Readathon. I didn't have that going on this week. I did listen to a few shorter audiobooks, but this week I was distracted by the fact that I was working on videos. You may have noticed that I have uploaded quite a few videos in this past week. I caught up with the mystery related videos. One of them was one I had hoped to do and planned to do for March Mystery Madness, and I finally got that edited and uploaded. And then the other one was as a result of the reading that I had done during March Mystery Madness when I did a review of the Coffee House Mysteries. So if you missed either of those, I did one on Christian Cozy Mysteries, which was something I've been talking about doing for quite a while. And then finally this morning I posted a video with part of my May TBR. Here it is, already the 15th of May, and I had not really told you about most of the middle grade books that I am trying to read this month and at some point during the rest of this year. And I still haven't, because I have filmed another portion of that TBR, my middle grade TBR, that I still have to finish editing and uploading. But meanwhile, it's Friday, so I got to do a Friday Reads, and I am going to edit in some pictures into this one, so you may not even see this uploaded until Saturday. So we'll just see how it goes, because today on Friday we're having a pretty busy day. Randy and Katie have been busy all week car shopping for Katie, and I've been letting them take care of most of that, because then that frees me up to get work done on my videos and get things caught up with that, as well as various things in the house and taking care of Emily, because Emily doesn't want to go car shopping. Anyway, so they're gone now to do a little bit more car shopping, and I'm about to take Emily to occupational therapy and speech therapy. But this morning we went to her school for a graduation car parade, and they handed out the caps and gowns. In fact, you may have seen my post earlier on Instagram of Emily in her cap and gown. They're not going to have the ceremony until September, but they went ahead and handed out the caps and gowns. They gave each graduate a really cool yard sign with their name on it, and so we came home and put that right in the yard and took some pictures. So that was what I posted, and if you haven't seen that yet, then be sure you follow me on Instagram. I have the links to my Instagram and Goodreads and Twitter all below in the description. I don't go on Twitter much, but it's there, and I sometimes will post what I'm posting on Instagram and share it to Twitter. So anyway, enough about our busy day. I wanted to tell you about the books that I have been reading. So during the first week I mentioned that I had finished 10 books. So now, as of this point, I have finished another 6, so a total of 16 for the month. Some have been in print and some have been on audio. So I'm just going to go over the most recent 6 books. On audio, I finished Honey by Sarah Weeks. That was really cute. I enjoyed that a lot. Katie and I got interested in reading Sarah Weeks because of the book Pie, which she really enjoyed. And so we bought Honey several years ago, and I finally got around to reading it. It's kind of a coming-of-age story about a girl who never knew her mother, and there's also a dog. You don't really understand how the dog fits into all of this, but you do see a little bit from the dog's perspective, which I thought was kind of interesting and maybe not realistic, but that's okay. It was still a really sweet story, really cute, and the story picks up with the daughter being in middle school, I think, or maybe 5th or 6th grade, and she's got a teacher that she really doesn't like, and then she finds out that this teacher's getting married, and then she realizes that her father is going around, you know, whistling and singing and not seeming quite himself, and she realizes that her father has a girlfriend. So then she has this epiphany that her father is marrying the teacher that she doesn't like, and oh my goodness, what is going to happen to her life after that? So anyway, I won't go into any more detail than that. I shouldn't have probably even told you that much, but it is a really sweet story, and I enjoyed it a lot. Then I finished books 2 and 3 in the Gaither Sisters trilogy. The second book is PSB11. And in this book, the girls have gone back home to New York City and are there with their father and their grandmother. And they still write to their mother, and she writes to them. In fact, the mother, when she signs off her letters to Delphine, who is 11, and trying to grow up too fast, her mother says, P.S. B11, and that's where you get the title from. It's a really good story. It's a great story about all three daughters and their relationship with all of their family members. They have an uncle who gets back from Vietnam, and there's a lot of issues going on there. I listened to this on Hoopla, and I was excited about that because I don't think these used to be on Hoopla. And Hoopla has really gotten a lot more books lately that have been on my TBR. So I've been able to knock out a lot of books that have been on my TBR for a while because they're popping up on Hoopla. So in book 3, Grandma has gone back to Alabama to her home, and she's taken her son, who is the veteran, with her there. And so the girls and their father stayed behind because their father has been dating again. And so they are still living there in New York with their father. But for the summer, they go to visit their grandmother in Alabama. And that's the story that's happening there. So the whole trilogy is just really good. I would highly recommend it. I thought the series was very well done, and it's definitely a favorite. A series that's even a bigger favorite, probably my all-time favorite children's series that has been written in modern day, is the Penderwicks. And I found an audio copy of book 4, Penderwicks in Spring, on a website called Chirp. Up until this point, I had not been able to find Penderwicks in Spring on audio. Our libraries in our county did not get either the 4th or 5th book on audio, and I had just been kind of holding off and wanting to read it, but I didn't have a physical copy of it. I checked it out from the library last year and I never got it read. So I was really excited to find it on audio. They are books that I'm collecting in physical form on my shelves, and someday I do want to sit down and just savor them and read them in print. But for now, I'm happy to listen to them on audio, and they're delightful. So I'm excited that I got book 4 finished. It was really wonderful. I just stretched it out over a 3-day period. I didn't want to rush through it, and I'm just thrilled about it. I thought it was delightful, and I would highly, highly recommend the Penderwicks. I got an introduction to another children's series that I have never read before, and a lot of you have, I'm sure. It's called Betsy-Tacy, and I first heard about this on Kate Howe's channel. She was doing a read-along, I believe, of several books in the series, maybe even the whole series. I hadn't been participating with her read-along, but I did hear her mention it, and I've seen other people talk about it and mention it. So I noticed that the first book, Betsy-Tacy, was on Hoopla, and I thought it was adorable. I never really knew about this series, and I'm pretty sure it came out way before I was born, much like Boxcar Children. I just never learned about this series. I was a Happy Hollister girl, and then went to Nancy Drew and Little House books, and that was pretty much the extent of my series reading in elementary school. But I definitely would read more of Betsy-Tacy. It's about these two little girls who are neighbors, and they have adventures, and then I think they do meet another little girl who becomes a part of their group, so then it's a trio, and it just goes on from there. So anyway, if you've never read them, I would recommend them. They're just simple, sweet little children's books from several decades ago, and I thought that this first book was adorable. And then one last children's book I just finished today. I could have read it all in one sitting. I read half of it yesterday, and then I had to get up and go do something else, and then I kind of forgot about it. So I got up this morning and I thought, oh, I never finished that book. So this is the other Beverly Lewis children's book that I had checked out from the library during Amish in April. Now, this is not an Amish book or series, but Beverly Lewis is well known for her Amish books. But when I was doing my research about her for my video that I did in April, I realized that she had quite a few children's book series, and I had never read any of her children's books. So this is a series called The Cul-de-Sac Kids. This is book 6, called The Mystery of Case D. Luke, and I think this would have been a favorite if I had read this when I was in this right age group. because it was really good. It was kind of a scavenger hunt. There was a clue hunt, and each clue was in a different kind of a code that the boy had to decipher and figure out, and it was really fun. So I'm glad that I read it. I definitely will continue reading some more of this series as I have time and as I think about it and get in the mood to do it. I want to go back and read maybe the first 4, because the books I was able to get quickly from the library in time for April were books 5 and then this one, book 6. So I'd like to go back and read the first 4, and then we'll just go from there. So that is everything that I have finished this week. I am currently right now reading several other books. For middle grade May, I'm also reading a book on my Kindle. It's by Elizabeth Tyree, who is also, like me, a former co-host for middle grade May, and she's also my partner in hashtag Book a Day in May. We have been challenging each other to read a book a day in May for several years now, and I am finally challenging myself to read her books. So I am reading Dragon on My Neck, and I'll show you a picture of it. It is really cute, and I've just been reading it a little bit along. I like to try to pick up my Kindle sometimes at bedtime when I don't want to have the light on, and so I've just been reading a chapter or two as I am awake enough to read some in the evening, and it's really adorable. Also, an audiobook I'm listening to in my car is Inkdeath, book 3 in the Ink World series, and I haven't gotten very far in that because we're almost never in the car. But I'm about to get in the car and take Emily to her therapy appointments, so I ought to be able to get at least 1 disc done today of that book. Another middle grade book I started listening to the other night on my phone as I was going to bed, and then I very quickly fell asleep, is Life in Motion by Misty Copeland. I have a physical copy of it, but I forgot to bring it in here. I'm probably going to have to start over on it. It's on my currently reading list, but I have not picked it up in the last several days, so I can't really tell you much about it, but I know that Misty Copeland is a ballerina and a very successful one, so I'm excited to read her story. And a little update on some of the adult books that I'm reading this month. I already mentioned State of the Onion by Julie Heisey. We had our book club meeting yesterday where we talked about this, and 6 of the 7 people who were there had read it and really enjoyed it, and the other woman who was there just had not been able to get a hold of a copy of it, so I loaned her my copy, and I still have a library copy checked out that I can show you. But this was just such a fun book. It's the first in the White House Chef Mystery Series, and I absolutely loved it. So after I finished it last week, or the first week in May, I started on The Long Quiche Goodbye by Avery Ames. This is the first book in the Cheese Shop Mysteries. I have not made very much progress in it. By the time I started it, I was already shifting my focus to middle grade books, and so I had a hard time getting started in it, but I have been trying to pick it up the last couple of days. I'm in the middle of chapter 7, so I'm making some progress, and as long as I finish it by the end of the month, then I'm okay with that. Another book that I'm not particularly enjoying, but it's just because I'm not in the mood for it right now, and it, like its predecessor, is kind of a tough read, but it is Lost Roses by Martha Hall Kelly. This is my book club book for next week for our main library book club. The book club that met yesterday was the Mystery Book Club, and it's mostly all the same people for both clubs, but anyway, we meet about this book next week, and I'm almost done with it. And I'm listening to it on audio, and I think I can get it finished today. It's very much like Lilac Girls, the format of it. It's about 3 women and their different perspectives. If you ever read Lilac Girls, one of the women is Caroline Faraday. Well, this is a prequel book, and one of the main 3 women in this book is her mother, who was also a character in Lilac Girls. So that story I've been able to follow a little better because I already know the characters. The other 2 women I've had a little harder time keeping straight because they're new to me characters. So now that I'm almost done, I'm finally kind of starting to figure out which one's which. But I think what I would prefer, and what I'm going to do if I'm ever in this situation, is take a book, if it's got 3 different perspectives that bounce back and forth, for at least a few sections, I'm going to just pick one woman and read her sections so that I get her story straight, and then go back to the second one and read her sections, and then the third one. I'm sure at some point they're going to intertwine. but I need a little bit more solidification of the characters, I think, before the story starts bouncing back and forth. And this pretty much just starts bouncing back and forth, you know, with the first few chapters. So it's just been difficult for me to keep it all straight. I'm sure if I was reading it in print, I'd keep it straighter, but I don't have that luxury of time. So anyway, it is what it is, and I'm getting it done, and hopefully I'll have enough in my head that I can chat about it. Thankfully, I don't lead the regular book club. I have been having to lead it for the last couple months because we've been just kind of running with bare bones, and our library staff member who usually leads this club has not been able to be there. We've been operating on kind of a limited basis outside the library. We have a park that's near the library that has a big gazebo that's open air. So anyone who has been up to coming has been bringing their own chair, and we've been sitting spaced apart where we can still hear each other and see each other, but, you know, getting our 6 feet apart, and just enjoying that time to be able to chat and do something social and just, you know, discuss the books. So I've been able to keep up with all of the books that we needed to read, and this is the next one. So I think what we're going to do, hopefully, after this whole COVID-19 blows over and we're able to get back into our library, maybe we'll have like a big event where all the people who were not comfortable getting out and coming to book club can have a chance to go through and talk about and chat about all of the books that we have been discussing over these 2 or 3 months that the libraries have been closed. I don't know. We'll work all that out. But anyway, I have stayed up to date with my book club books, and this one is just a little tougher than books that I gravitate towards, but still a pretty good read, and I think a lot of people will definitely enjoy this. Definitely, if you liked and loved Lilac Girls, you will like or love this one. I liked Lilac Girls, okay, but it wasn't a favorite. I'll just put it that way. And then the only other thing I'm currently reading is my devotional book, which is A Year with C.S. Lewis. I read a page of that after I read my Bible chapter and a page out of the Journey magazine, and then I can go about my day and read or listen to audiobooks and read whatever I feel like picking up. So after this video, I will be back with hopefully the last part of my May TBR. Hopefully now that it's already May 15th. But it's also a little bit more than that. It's a video about all of the middle grade books that I would like to try to read before the end of the year. And I'll read as many of them as I can during the rest of May, and then I will read the rest of them as I have time. So for now, though, that's all I have for this video. I hope you are having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.